Hi, it's Amnesty. Today I'm going to be talking about Chapter 8, which is emotions. And I decided to break down the chapter into three important key points of the chapter. And the first one is, what are emotions? The second one is the influences on emotional expressions. And the third ones are the guidelines to emotional expressions or expressing emotions. Sorry. So, back to what are emotions? Emotions to me are basically what they sound like. There are feelings. Now, within emotions, there are psychological changes, not physiological changes. Sorry. The physiological changes is when a person has strong emotions, they tend to show it through bodily changes. So, if I have become angry, my heartbeat increases. Also, along with that is the slowing of digestion. These physiological messages can offer a significant clue to emotions once you become aware to them. Now, moving on to nonverbal reactions. With nonverbal reactions, we see that not all physical changes that accompany emotions are internal. Some are dealing with a person's appearance. So if a person is approached by someone that they like and they begin to talking to them, they begin to blush. Also, another thing that could occur is a slump posture. And a slump posture usually signifies that the person doesn't really want to be there if they are in class, or a slump posture could signify that the person is sad. Moving on to the second important point in the chapter to me is influences on emotional expression. So I want to start with our personality. Our personality says a lot about us as humans. So, for example, when you're extroverted, you tend to report more positive emotions than when you're introverted. Now, when you have neurotic personalities, which are people who have the tendency to worry a lot, they're anxious and they feel apprehensive. So, and they report more negative emotions than less neurotic individuals would. Moving on to culture. Culture tends to show a lot in how we express our emotions. So if eating a snail in one culture is amazing, eating a snail in my culture or in your culture could be slightly disgusting. It just depends on how and where you're from, how they go about things where you're from. So, moving on to gender. Gender roles plays an important way that we express our emotions, because as a woman, we are told to be more emotionally bound. We're more likely to express our emotions possibly verbally. Well, males are to express their emotions more non-verbally. So just as the book says, like I just said, more verbally, and men are more non-verbally. So moving on into the emotional contagion. So emotional contagion is the process by which emotions are transferred from one person to another. So let's say we're having a conversation or I'm in a group of people. I'm a cheerleader. When I come in and I'm happy, or when I come in and I'm sad, it reflects off you and goes on to the next person. That is basically what emotional contagion is. So we're moving on into the guidelines for expressing emotions, and we're going to recognize our feelings. So it's best to be aware of your emotions. you tend to I guess you can say you tend to express your emotions through your body. So you should be aware of how you're feeling and at least monitor how you're feeling, because someone else can become aware of it. So when we're aware of our feelings, research shows that it's valuable to be able to identify one's emotion. So if one person is sad, it's valuable to be able to identify that, because you're able to approach them in a different way. You're able to talk to them in a different way if they're sad. If one person's happy, you're able to talk to them in a happy tone, and it won't make them feel like, oh, you don't care about how they feel, you know. Also, you should monitor your nonverbal behaviors, because monitoring your nonverbal is another way to keep in touch with your feelings. Our nonverbals tend to express our emotions just the way us expressing them verbally would, maybe even more. Moving on, the next I would like to talk about is to recognize the difference between feeling and acting. It is not good to act on your feelings. If you're angry, it is not good to act on it. Some people tend to act on how they feel. So if they're angry, they'll go punch a wall. If they're sad, they'll immediately cry. It's best to recognize the difference between feeling and acting, because you don't want to do something that you'll regret later on. Moving on to accept responsibility for your feelings. So, when you accept responsibility for your feelings, it's important to make sure that your expressions don't blame others. So let's say, for example, I'm not in a good mood, so I'm talking to someone and I say, you hurt my feelings. No, it's best to say, I feel hurt when you did that. See, it sounds better, because you're not supposed to blame someone else for your emotions. It's the I language, which is described in chapter 5, and it makes it clear that you own your own feelings. Next is to choose the best time and place to express your feelings. This is something that I used to be very, very bad at. I did not know when and how to express my feelings. So when someone used to wake me up, I would immediately jump up and become angry with them, run into them and tell them how I felt. No, you should choose the best time and place to express how you feel. So, using my example, it's best to take a step back, breathe, and not go on and immediately react to what happened. It's best to just wait it out until you are calm. When you're dealing with your emotions, it can take a great amount of time and effort, and honestly, distraction. It will distract you from what you're actually doing. Dealing with the emotions takes a lot of energy. And that seems like it's it. Thank you. Bye.